He didn't like Kaminga. You see that?
You know, I'm a fan of the player podcast when they're still playing. I really am. It's an interesting concept. Draymond Green.
You are a fan.
Yeah. While they're still playing.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Draymond Green
Mm-hmm.
has the player podcast. He's talking about his career and all these things like that. And he has some choice thoughts and words about Steve Kerr.
Okay.
He's such a unique person. There's things he's done that I can never forgive him for, and yet I will do anything for him. When you spend 14 years with someone, when you've had the runs that we've had, playing the role that I've had to play and being who I've had to be, some things like that are going to happen. Everything hasn't just been one way. You know, it hasn't just been like, oh man, Draymond did this, Steve's mad. I don't take that any way at all. You know, speaking of this December thing, you know, I spoke to him after that and it was like, I don't think you like me. I don't think you've ever liked me, if I'm honest. Like, he cried. Like, really? However, what he's meant to me in my life, what he's taught me in my life, just telling him in our exit interview, the things that he's taught me about being a winner, I'm not sure where else I could have got that. I played for Tom Izzo, and Steve just took that to a completely different level, and especially showing me things about this level and winning. Like, I could never repay him for that. It's so important to who I've become. As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me think he's hindered me in my career and what I could have become. You know, when KD came from 2016 on, I have not had a play in our playbook. Not a single play that we run for me in our playbook since 2016. But if you're going to take one gripe and not be able to move past it for all the other things, then you're shallow as a person. That says more about you as a person than it does about Steve or whoever else in that instant. You got to take the good with the bad, man.
I think that's a fairly nuanced take. Just stating that, you know, basically he's had to make sacrifices playing with his team. As much as he's done for me, speaking of Steve Kerr in basketball, a part of me thinks he's hindered his career because they're not running plays for him. He's not featured that much in the offense. But it's not a bad thing. Is that a bad take? That should be okay.
All right, let's try this again. Say what you just said.
Draymond said, you know, hey man, as much as Steve Kerr has done for me in basketball, part of me thinks that he's hindered his career and what he could have become. He mentioned that since 2016, no plays ran for him. No plays ran for him. But that's okay, though, because of all the things that he's done for him. You know, that's not a bad take.
No. Well, reality is reality. Okay. And the reality of this is Draymond Green was a second round pick, 35. Right? Which means you wasn't part of no one's plans or offense. First year, I think the most shots you took that whole first year was 6, maybe. The second year, off the bench, still 82 games, you took double-digit shots 8 times. Then this same guy put you in a position to become successful. He's seen something that the team needed that you were gifted at. And he started you. First team defense. So exactly what he thought he seen happened. Then you guys became successful. Kevin Durant comes. Why would he draw plays up for you when you wasn't a shooter or a scorer? But I do get where your argument would come in at, because the year before Kevin Durant, you averaged 14. So most likely, you're coming into that next year as I'm a part of this offense. But Kevin Durant comes back, and everybody had to slide. What you could have been is irrelevant. What you are is the most important thing, a Hall of Famer. That's what you are, a Hall of Famer. What you could have been is nothing. You could have been nothing. You could have been the 2-3 years and then out of the league. That could have been the case. You're 30. You're 35. How many people in the second round get to the second? So our percentage is as low as it is. There's only been a few of us that have been successful as second round picks. When it comes to champions and accolades, it's you and Jokic. As an individual, Jokic is the best second round pick ever. When it comes to the middle ground, championships and talent and accolades, meaning defensive player of the years, all-stars, all NBA, you and Ginobili. I will probably edge you over Ginobili because he got the championships, but the individual accolades that go with it is not all the way there. Yours is. So when it comes to that draft, we're not meant to be successful. So going the hypothetical of what you could have been. You could have been like the other 90% of the second round that's been drafted. We could be out of the league. So I wouldn't beat the drum on what could have and should have. Because what happened is you're going to be in their memory books. You can, hey, who gives a what people laugh about, right? Because as much as they laugh about the four rings, what they can't laugh about is steals champ. 2-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defense, Defense Player of the Year. That alone without the rings. 4-time All-Star. That alone without the rings is a Hall of Famer. You don't have to stand on 4 championships, 4 All-Stars, steals champ, 2 All-NBAs, 9-time All-Defense, Defensive Player of the Year. You don't need your rings to make no point against anyone. Right? I mean, that's just pure facts. So I don't need to do the woulda, shoulda, coulda. You don't need to do the woulda, shoulda, coulda. Let everybody else do that. You have a resume outside of rings. Because if we compare your statistics to anybody who just has rings and they use the rings, you guys are in 2 different planets. Here and here. For individual success in the NBA. What careers were before NBA is irrelevant. We're talking about NBA.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
That's just, what happened?
I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
You said a lot of stuff that I'm glad you said. There are going to be some other people doing the woulda, shoulda, coulda. And in this conversation, they will eventually bring up pre-NBA. This is Austin Rivers' take on what Draymond Green had to say on the Dan Patrick Show.
I'll leave you with this. Draymond Green on his podcast had this to say about his head coach, Steve Kerr.
Oh, man, I knew this was coming.
As much as he's done for me in basketball, a part of me think he's hindered me in my career and what I could have become. When KD came from 2016 on, I have not had a play in our playbook. Not a single play that we run for me in our playbook. This is 2016. But if you're going to take one gripe and not be able to move past it for all the other things, then you're shallow as a person. That says more about you as a person than it does about Steve or whoever else in that instant. You got to take the good with the bad, man.
Can he be right in both cases that he wasn't featured at all? But, I mean, how do you feature Draymond Green?
Feature him doing what?
I don't know.
Feature him doing what?
I'm trying to be fair to the context of this.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's utter ridiculous. And you know what's shocking? Because Draymond has such he has such a high IQ. That's a big part of his game is how smart of a basketball player he is. So it bewilders me that he even thinks like this, because it's like, Draymond, them taking a chance on you and them playing you and Steve putting you at the forefront of that offense, making you be the point forward and kind of the, allow you to have that voice and the freedom to have your, whether it's spasms or when he loses it, or to be the emotional leader of that team. Steve let him be who he was. So to hear he was hindered, especially Draymond's never been an offensive scorer juggernaut. He's left open 80% of the game. No one guards him. And because he's such a high IQ player, he's been able to take that and be a free screener for Steph, Clay. He's been this enforcer. He does all these things defensively to dominate.
As I listen to Austin, there's nothing he said that will be considered wrong. And what I mean by that is you excelled at what you did. You took a second round pick. He moved around. Was it David Lee who was there? Who was there before him
Yeah, David Lee was there.
David Lee was an all-star when Draymond was there and said, you know what, I think our offense will run better like this. And technically he put the ball in Draymond's hand and says, you make the best decisions. Drawing up a play for Draymond Green when he is technically the point guard is probably what Austin is really saying. Like, yo, you have the ball technically more than Steph. Because you make this engine run by your decision making. So to say they didn't run any plays for me when we know you have the ball, it's kind of like what Austin is saying. Like, we're not going to put the ball, we're going to take the ball out of your hand, give it to Steph, and then say, all right, we're going to do drop 4 for Draymond Green, right? I'm trying to figure out if I'm listening to what Austin's saying, will I be offended? I don't know. I got to listen to the context. But I know one thing that I'm getting out of this is Steve Kerr's probably fired.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. No. Hey, forget these two right here. Let's get to the real shit that's sitting here underlining. For Draymond Green to say he never liked me, right? He never liked me. He hindered me. Tells me the fact that you're saying it now tells me that same entity will no longer be there next year. Because if that same person you said hindered you, don't draw plays up for you, is back the following year, how does that relationship, even though I've never liked you the whole time, but and that's some things that I tell kids a lot. Listen, focus on the action, not the words. Because the actions will say otherwise. He lets you do everything you want to do. Everything. And you don't get penalized for it. Means he likes you. Means he trusts you. Means he believes in you. What he says around the team, maybe just this didn't occur. Because you are the leader of the team and everyone looks up to you. If he attacks you, if he does everything towards you, everybody else falls in line. And that's how it's always been, right? If you ask the Spurs, Pop was harder on Tim Duncan than everybody else. It's understanding that the results are the results, right? If I don't think you like me, but you're playing me 43 minutes a game, letting me shoot every shot, what you're saying is irrelevant. Because if you don't like somebody, you're not going to give them He didn't like Kuminga. Do you see that? Draymond, he didn't like you. We see a person he didn't like. He didn't like Kuminga. That means he did everything in his power not to put him on the court because he didn't like him. That's what that looks like.
I understand why, by the way.
Right? I'm pretty sure he never cussed that Kuminga in his life. He just, doing great, son. Good job. Yeah. Keep hanging in there. Yeah, nah. I'll take the cussing out in the minutes. Any day. So, yeah, Steve Kerr gone. So that, that's that.
Well, we still got to get to the Rumble. Draymond, in his response Austin, you and I averaged the same amount of points in high school. And I say high school because that's when you were at your best. Should he really talk about my NBA career? The guy received the biggest bailout in U.S. history prior to President Trump bailing out the airlines when his dad gave him $42 million. I'm going to play Austin Reeves section next.
Okay.
Austin decided to respond. Now, I know you said your whole thing about high school and all that stuff like that. Pre-NBA shouldn't matter, but apparently it matters. And they are fighting about it.
Come on, Draymond. This is ridiculous. Seriously. Ridiculous. But you know what? I'm going to address it because you crossed the line and you are mad disrespectful for whatever reason. You've been around too long. We both were drafted in the same class. The fact that you don't have the wherewithal to do your due diligence and actually understand I was being highly complimentary of you on the Dan Patrick Show. But it's you, and I shouldn't be surprised. You always act irrationally, emotionally immature, and your anger always puts you in hot water. So here I am having to address a video of you belittling my career. First off, Draymond, we weren't the same players in high school. I don't care about our numbers being similar. I did it at the national level, the top level. Hence why I got the Naismith Award, and I got pretty much every award you could think of in high school. I was ranked number 1. You were ranked, I don't know. So cut it out. Next. College, you actually were a really good college basketball player, but it's hard to compare because I was only there for 6 months. Something you could never do. Talk about I was, one of the featured guys. No, I was the guy. I led my team in scoring. I was first team All-ACC, freshman player of the year, lottery pick. Stop. Next. The NBA, hey man, you got it, Dre. I mean, listen, I played in the NBA for more than 10 years, more than a decade, but 11 years, but I'm not a Hall of Famer like you. So I'll give you that credit. All right, you got it. But let's peel back that onion and understand why. Easy, Tiger. Okay? You have the delusion, the non-wherewithal, the irony of you saying I'm part of the biggest bailout in NBA history. Draymond, you were the luckiest basketball player I think I've ever seen, especially in modern day history.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about that. You were drafted to a franchise with the Hall of Fame front office, Bob Myers, Hall of Fame coach, Steve Kerr, the greatest shooter of all time, and perhaps the top 5 player of all time, Steph Curry, Hall of Famer. One of the greatest shooters, top 5 shooter of all time, another Hall of Famer, Klay Thompson. The Swiss Army knife himself, the guy who could do a little bit of everything on the floor, Andre Iguodala, another Hall of Famer. I know, keep up, it's a lot of talent. Not to mention one of the most lethal scorers of all time and arguably a top 10 player of all time, Kevin Durant, the same guy you chased off because of this, your mouth. You talk too much. And that's not even counting the plethora of talent around those guys. The Sean Livingstons, the Barbosas, the Andrew Wiggins, the Jordan Pooles, who you also chased off. Cut it out.
I'm going to cut it because he cutting him. Referee Gil.
This is like, if I'm a referee, this is like I already called the foul. And then the guy goes up to dunk and the guy clotheslines him, right? Can't be no extra foul on the guy who clotheslined him. And then there's obviously not 2 points on the offensive player. We're going to take the ball back on the side from the first foul. Don't know why the jabs are jabbing and we're getting offensive and offended. I'm trying to figure out when Austin got paid by the Clippers.
When he got paid?
Yeah, it was the 2017-18 season. What year did he get paid?
I can find it. Quick, fast, and hurry. Yeah, 2016-17. It looks like when he got that contract.
I don't know, my internet's just, hold on, let me close all these goddamn, hold on, let me see.
I see it right here. 60. Oh. First of all, there was 2 contracts. Is that true? No. 15 signed a multi-year contract with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Was that the 42?
That looks like it is the bigger one. Yeah.
And it's a 2016 season?
15-16.
15-16, he averaged 9.
And then it kicked in 16.
Huh?
I said 15-16, and then it kicks in 16. Yeah.
16-17? where he averaged 12 then 15 points a game. I don't like this because it can go either way. You say, his father bailed him out by paying him. Well, his father didn't pay him. His father played him. He performed. Owner paid him. You could say Steve Kerr bailed Draymond out by starting him and allowing him to perform. We all get bailed out if we get put in a position to perform. Performed. No one's ever said his contract was not worth it. Actually, it's more pressure because he's playing for his father. So you already know how the locker room is going to snicker and giggle and pretend that he's only here because of his father. And he's only getting playing time because of his father, even though you have to practice against him all year long. If you couldn't take the position from him, you couldn't outperform him, then obviously that spot was well-deserved. I can't question anybody's, listen, all I can do is say, all right, you're on the court. How are you playing when you get there? Who cares? Who cares how you got there? When you're there, what are you doing? When Austin was there, Austin performed. Draymond, when you was there, you performed. You became a Hall of Famer. That's all. Those are the f***ing facts. All the other shit is irrelevant because it's not real. It's not real. And people need to stop doing the dumb shit with the hypotheticals and the fake narratives around things that you can't really prove. What we can prove is this. Draymond Green, 9-time all defense. Has nothing to do with offense, right? But remove Kevin Durant, remove Steph Curry points, remove Clay. 9-time all defense. That's without those guys. Those guys didn't help on his defensive end. He had to help those guys who didn't play defense. Defensive Player of the Year has nothing to do with the offense itself. Steals champ has nothing to do with the offense itself. Hall of Fame. Those stats eventually make into the Hall of Fame. $40 million, average 12 and 15. Shit, someone could say he's underpaid compared to what people get paid averaging at. High school speaks for itself, right? There's one thing Austin don't need to compete with nobody with all his resume of high school and college. Today's generation, when you say who has the best high school mixtapes, Austin Reeves' name is going to be in there. Top 5. Majority says top 3. He don't have to bring up his high school. That stands on its own. You know what I mean? So, listen, I think the argument is pointless on both parties because there's nothing to argue about. Draymond probably listened, took it out of context, but at the end of the day, the real story is Steve Kerr's getting fired. That's it. Or he's departing ways or whatever. That's the real story. That's what I look at. All of this noise over here, I'm looking at the fact that one's saying it means you're fired, buddy. That's all. That's it. That's all.
No winners then.
But you can't win with results. The results is the results. And those are the arguments that people like to have. The results are the results. When it's all said and done, the facts are the facts still. And the facts are 9 times defense, this. The facts is he got paid $42 million. He played for his dad. He averaged the most under his dad, meaning he thrived in a positive environment. It's not like he got paid 42, averaging 4 for his pops. The minutes he got, he performed in those. Obviously, he was a talent, right? I remember I hit him up because he was doing the move that I was trying to teach my son. And it's just a lot of people didn't, he has a gift that went under the radar. So, I mean, the next level is the next level. You still got to get the opportunity. He didn't really get the opportunity to do what he did. Draymond, you got the opportunity to be whoever you was. But I can tell you this, number 1 player in the country, you doing your damn thing, right? And I'm pretty sure if he played for Pops at the beginning, would have been unstoppable, right? Because you got the freedom. It's no different than Lonzo Ball or LaMelo Ball playing for Pops, right? You got the most freedom. And when you have the most freedom, you have the imagination that's unlimited. And when you have the imagination that's unlimited, you're unstoppable, right? And that's just how it works. Steph Curry, go explore. You see what type of product it is pushed out. So, these two shouldn't be arguing, man. They was both successful at all levels. We made it to the NBA. So
Last thing.
first foul, Steve Kerr. I'm stopping it at the Steve Kerr. These two right here, I can't give y'all no technicals for because the play was dead. Take it up.